When talking about a character, we should really start with their neutral, because that's where everything begins. Your offense doesn't start until you win it, your defense doesn't start until you lose it. Soul's probably best mid-range option is his 6S. It's huge and even pushes you forwards, making it bigger than it seems. It also beats many other mid-range options at this distance. Along with that, it has good conversions on normal and counter hit. Next we have our 5S. This move also propels you forwards, meaning it hits much farther than you might expect, and has decent whiff recovery, meaning it's okay to miss. It also forces a brutal 50-50 string just by hitting someone's block. On top of that, it has amazing conversions on normal and counter hit. Soul's 2K can also be a great option in certain matchups, stuffing Stroke the Big Tree and Maze Dolphin. Also just covers up a good horizontal space with a really low whiff recovery. See, it combos on crouching opponents. Then we have two options as our anti-airs. You're really going to have to test these out and see when you want to use which. 5K typically results in a better combo, where 6P is more reliable due to its top half invincibility. 5K is a great move coming out on just frame 3 and having really high damage conversions. It has a lot of whiff recovery, so you can't just use it whenever you want. 6P can also be used as a mid-range tool if you think they're going to overextend their hitboxes with fast hitting mid-range moves. It also has good decent conversions, and if blocked in the air leaves you a bit plus, but if they do block on the ground you will be minus. Now, depending on who you're fighting, Soul has two other really good neutral options, one being Gunflame, which is great against characters that are slow and take a lot of time moving in on you, or for covering jump and aerials from a very long distance. It does at times convert into a combo, but you shouldn't really rely on it, and instead just use it to gain some advantage. Then we have Vortex, which should almost strictly be used to counter your opponent doing very large, long whiff recovery moves that don't hit low enough to take you out of it. If you have meter, you can be a little bit more careless with Vortex, because it goes into this good option select. Otherwise, it's terribly minus on block, and you will get punished for using it poorly. So Soul has some decent jumping buttons that can cover up the space pretty well. His jump H is especially good, canceling pretty fast, allowing him to still double jump afterwards. This combo with the fact that he could jump punch right before it allows him to always have a hitbox in the air. On top of this, to bait it out anti-airs, he has Bandit Bringer, which delays his falling, and he can delay Bandit Bringer even farther to delay even more. When Bandit Bringer lands on block, you need to be aware of the RPS, rock, paper, scissors, that occurs afterwards. Firstly, if you hit too close, they get a guaranteed grab. Otherwise, you're just -2, so it's almost like neutral. If you do 5K, it'll be beat by a crouching move. If you backdash, you'll be beat by a far range move, and so on and so forth. Soul's jump S works similarly to his jump H when you decide to hit the ground. They both convert into the same combo / block pressure. Soul has some really strong, really high damaging combos that he can do without meter, all of which can be done from his strong normals. You'll start to notice how all of these end in Bandit Revolver, which happens to have multiple amazing conversions that we'll go over in just a moment. For anti-air combos, we have 5K and 6P conversions. Anti-air 5K combos will change depending how close you are to the wall, whether or not you want a wall break, and how much meter you have. Here we start to get into our Bandit Revolver conversions. This one is when you're a little bit mid-screen, or maybe even times a little bit farther, a little bit closer, you can get a wall break pretty easily. It's important to note that every time you're seeing a wall break here, that instead of using Heavy Slash, it could be replaced with Tyrant Ray for more damage if you have the meter to do so. And here we have this conversion where you can do this anywhere on the screen, no matter how far back you are close to your wall. and it does high damage, and it's a great route that ends with them being in a hard knockdown state. So now that we know some combos, we still have to figure out how to get the first hits, which we either get from getting a nice call in neutral, or we're taking advantage of an advantage state. So say for instance, we hit someone's block with 5S, and then we put them in a 50-50 state. Because 5S is +2 on block, it gives us some options. You can either do 5S again, leaving an 8 frame gap between. Only very specific options can punish here. We can run and grab if you think they'll continue to block, or continued pressure that will catch anything but blocks, such as 5H delayed, 2K, or 5K at certain ranges. This is really important because if we start threatening 5S into 5S or 5S into run and grab, they'll start looking to jump away or backdash away, which allows us to catch them with good Gatling delay pressure. And this is when you start getting into conditioning the opponent and just reads in general. To expand upon this pressure, we could do moves at 50-50 into 5S, like 5S or close slash, which is +3, and can perfectly delay Gatling into 5S for more pressure, meaning that 5S into run up 6S isn't a bad option either to really keep the pressure up. Let's quickly talk about the block pressure of 2K. It can either cancel the 6S on block or be used as a run up tick throw opportunity. And 5K is very similar. It can go into 6S or run into a dash grab, which is not nearly as reliable. Now that we've gone through our pressure, we can see that we're really either ending with 6S or 5H, which both basically result in the same RPS. If you gunflame after, you potentially continue the block string, but this is pretty risky and not usually the best option. If they either react to it or read it, almost all characters can get a guaranteed punish. This is where we can start to do fake gunflame, because if they are reacting, we can begin to punish them with an anti-air like 5K or 6P, depending on the situation. This won't work against some players though, as they might be able to react to the difference, and fake gunflame is punishable because it has 30 frames of recovery. And so it's typically best after these moves to just do nothing. 6S is only -7, 5H is only -9, meaning that at most ranges they aren't actually punishable, but it can become the opponent's turn. Here's where we can start to reintroduce gunflame, because if they do a run up option on your block, gunflame will actually hit them. Now that we have strong pressure, we're going to be landing a lot more of counter hits, so let's go over these combos. By now, you might start to notice how a lot of these combos result in a sort of knockdown, which is another great opportunity for us to continue our pressure. When they get up, they have just a few options depending on the character. With no meter, they can either block or do an anti-grab option like backdash, jump, or a 6 frame or less move. And you can either hit them on wake up or grab them, a 50-50. But you might want to notice just how much stronger hitting them is, because it still puts you in advantage on their block, and if they fail the 50-50, they get hit into a combo that leads into a new 50-50. Take close slash on block, which 50-50s into 5S or grab at no penalty for pressing 5S, which goes into 5H or grab at the penalty of slight disadvantage RPS if you land 5H on block. You can really start to see just how many 50-50s your opponent has to win just to stay alive against you as Soul. But what if the other character has a wake up, invincible, reversal DP, or wake up super? Well, DPs lose to well-timed grabs, so you can do that if they use DP a lot. Or you can run a block, preferably staying out of their grab range in case they attempt to read your block of the DP. If you guess right, you get a strong punish. If you guess wrong, you're back to neutral state. Same idea with wake up supers, but they can't be grabbed, so you just want to sit there and block. If the opponent has these options, you're now dealing with an RPS instead of a 50-50 on knockdown, which is really important to keep in mind. Also, that they should be afraid to DP because it loses to so many options. It loses to the option that blocks reversible supers, loses to the option that deals with the normal blocking. So you really want to start punishing them hard for using these DPs if they're smashing it a lot. Now that we're implementing grab into our gameplay, it's really easy to think that you should start doing wild throw, but this is basically your worst option. For instance, if they're in the corner, it'll just take them out, and even if it's not the case, it ruins your RPS because you throw them too far to get a grab, so you lose your true 50-50. So if you do feel like your grab is very close to killing, there are some RC combos to add a little bit of damage to them. The only defensive options that you have that differ from some other characters are your wake up DPs and super. Super is a great call out for meaties and grabs. Just remember that if you have half meter, they're more likely to predict it and get a punish off. And when you do want to DP to counter meaties, your confidence level is important. So you think you may whiff slash DP, it is much safer on block and just on whiff than heavy slash DP. But when heavy slash DP hits, it does way more damage and has a good chance of clean hitting, resulting in a hard knockdown. When you have half meter, it honestly might be safer to sometimes just go for wake up DPs if they're doing a lot of blocks as their read, because you can RC it, which will make it your turn. Or if it lands in your RC, you get a combo. So that's it for the advanced guide. Thanks for watching. Comment if you have any questions, and yeah, there you go.